good? Don't be pissing on me.
I won't. For multiple reasons. A, you would slap me. B, my wife would slap me when she asked me why. Who the heck's been slapping on you?
There's just no good reason, is there?
There's not. Yeah, my wife and I said, well, here, give me the back of your hand. I'll kiss you goodnight. That's sad when you have those days.
Mm-hmm.
You have something for me to sign or not?
Yeah. Haven't gotten George to sign it either.
I just know it's been a minute or two, so it's just this one.
Mm-hmm. $9.59.
All right.
I'll get George to sign this real fast.
He's not gonna have time because I'm. I just said the same thing to you.
How are you? It's like
ready?
church out there.
Yeah.
I'll call the August 6, 2015 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting to order. Would you all please stand? If you would bow your head, please. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the gifts that we receive from you. We ask that you watch over the men and women who serve in our armed forces, as well as all of our emergency responders. I ask for wisdom and understanding for this court. Grant us humility in our everyday life and give us the courage to make right decisions for our Daviess County community. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everyone to our August 6, 2015 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting. I want to welcome all of you and all those who are going to view this on TV. Are you ready, Jenny?
Yes, sir. Item 1, consideration for approval. A, minutes of the July 16, 2015 court meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Commissioners, you've had a copy of the minutes in your packet for some time. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
B, all claims for all departments.
Move to approve.
Second.
Copy of all the bills due and payable by Daviess County Fiscal Court. Do you have any questions of the treasurer at this time? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
C, treasurer's report for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2015.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion, second. Mr. Hendricks.
Gentlemen, the cash balance at June 30th, 2015 was $26,158,250. The general fund balance is $10,626,570. Normally, the financial statement is presented monthly as a presentation only. However, this is the end of our fiscal year. Therefore, I was required to prepare the treasurer's settlement, accounting for all cash, and presenting to the court, which I have done so. To the people of Daviess County and the court, these statements were prepared in accordance with KRS 424.220. All statements have been compiled. Statements of assets, liabilities, and fund balances arising from all cash transactions as of June 30th, 2015, along with the related statement of cash receipts, cash disbursements, and changes in balances for the year. The financial statements were prepared on the basis, as we are required to by the state of Kentucky and by the Department of Local Government, and is compliance with the regulatory basis of accounting. They are not, however, generally accepted accounting principle. Statements and adjustments will be made accordingly later when the auditors come in. But all revenues and cash and expense transactions have been accounted for. All cash has been verified and has been accounted for. I believe that all balances are true and correct to the best of my knowledge. I would ask for approval of the statements.
Commissioners, you've heard the county treasurer. Any questions or comments? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
D, allocate $1 million to OCTC for Phase 2 Advanced Technology Center and release the first installment payment of $500,000 on August 7, 2015.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion, second. Commissioners, we have the newly appointed OCTC President, Scott Williams, out in the audience. Scott, thank you for being here. This has been a long journey for the folks in Daviess County, a long and I might say arduous journey. We thought back in 2005, 2006 that we had accomplished what we needed to do. We had the money in the budget, the state had put it in there, and then it got cut. And it's taken us 9 years with a lot of hard work on the part of our local legislators in Frankfort, our local elected officials, educators from not only OCTC, but the other colleges, EDC, all the folks in this community trying to explain what this would mean to our community. We can do all we want trying to attract people to our community to bring good paying jobs, invest their money, but I can tell you that if we don't have a well-trained and educated workforce, they'll go somewhere else. So the county, along with the city, decided to put $1 million into the fund to start. Hopefully, we were going to be able to entice private investors. And I know OCTC and that group have been working very hard, and I think they're very close. And Scott came to me and said, Judge, we never have formally done this at a fiscal court meeting, so would you mind doing it? And I said, Scott, we told you we're going to give you $1 million. We're going to give you $1 million. So this formalizes that process. If they are successful, and I think they will be, in raising the money, this project should get off the ground sometimes next spring, I would hope, which means that this first payment could be used for some of those expenses and those costs, and then the balance would be paid after the June 30th, which would start the 2016 fiscal year, and it would leave that money on our balance sheet, look better for our bondholders. So I'm very happy that we are finally going to realize this. If we are successful, we will be the second community college in the state to take advantage of what the governor was able to do. And I'm very proud that in the governor's address to the Commonwealth of Kentucky, he mentioned Owensboro and Daviess County as being a leader and instrumental in setting this process in motion. So any question or comment, commissioners?
I'm excited to do it. I just want to make that comment.
As am I.
Okay.
This is good step.
Scott, would you want to come forward and say anything? Just let's go over to the podium so everybody can hear you, and if you would, identify yourself.
My name is Scott Williams, and as Judge Mattingly said, I am the newly appointed president at Owensboro Community and Technical College, and I want to just say thank you very much to the fiscal court and the citizens of Owensboro for all your support, and Judge Mattingly is exactly correct. We're very close to completing our goal, and so we feel very comfortable that we've met our obligations for the bonding issue, and we're excited to get started. And this means a lot to our college and this community because, as the judge said, this shows faith in what we can do in Owensboro to make sure that we have a continued well-educated workforce. So thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Scott. Anyone else care to make a comment? There being no other comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
E, annual update of Daviess County Detention Center's Policy and Procedures Manual, Inmate Handbook, Employee Handbook, and Operational Chart.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Commissioners, that certainly isn't Jailer Osborne up there. Would you identify yourself?
My name is Ken Elshine. I'm Chief Deputy at the Daviess County Detention Center. Jailer Osborne sends his apologies to the court for not being able to be here today due to some unforeseen to attend.
Okay.
So I'm here in this place.
Okay, Commissioners, you've had this Policies and Procedures Manual in your possession for some time. Hopefully you had a chance to scan it. This is just a formality that I think the Department of Corrections require that you do this, that you bring it to the fiscal court for our approval. We could have him go through each and every change in the manual, and we might be here till midnight. I would rather not do that. Do you have any specific questions?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
Ken, are you ready for the quiz that we're about to give you?
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other question or comment? Yes, sir.
I just had one. I noticed all these changes were different color codes. There was green and there was yellow, I think, or red and blue, and I was curious if they had any significance as to where they originated.
It's my understanding that everything in red was changed or revised this time. There were some other colors, I believe, that had to do with the KAR. I'm
Okay.
not. I can find out and get you the answer on that. I'm not sure exactly what.
I meant to call a jailer today and ask him, and I didn't get around to it. But that's the only thing I was curious about as I read through it all. So.
Ken, if that's the major question that you've got, you're getting off pretty light. Any other question or comment?
No.
Question or comment from the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And I know I'm out of order, but is this on your website or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can get all this information on our website.
Okay. Thank you.
F, Memorandum of Agreement with the City of Owensboro regarding funding of juvenile court to assist in eliminating drug and alcohol addiction.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Claude, would you kind of lead us through this?
Yes, Judge. This is the renewal of the agreement that the city and county provided for the juvenile drug court from 3 years ago. That program is a continuation of one that AOC started several years ago, I think 2006. In the years since the city and the county have funded the juvenile drug court, we've had 65 or about 65 interviews or kids who we thought were eligible. We've taken or accepted 40 into the program. 15 of them have graduated. 4 of them, I think you and Commissioner Cashlin were at the last graduation last Thursday. There are currently 8 participants in the program along with their family, and the program involves not only the juveniles but their families as well, and that's one of the things that we changed from the AOC program. We think has done a pretty good job in at least keeping our kids together, maybe some with the families as well, and we're encouraged by the response and by participation and by the success of what's happened.
City and county are participating equally. What's the amount?
$88,000 each year, $176,000 a year.
And that's per year, and this is a 3-year agreement, and we're getting ready to go into our 4th year, I guess.
Right. The city and county provide that. There are 14 members of the team who are unpaid members. There's one person who works for me who's the director of the program who is a paid member. The rest donate their time, and by our calculations of what the county attorney's office contributes in office supplies, office space, and then the amount that the persons who are treatment providers, school, and other counselors and therapists, we figure we contribute roughly that amount, about $125,000 to $150,000 a year as well.
Okay. I think it's a very worthy program. It's good use of the money. If you have had an opportunity, commissioners, to attend one of those graduation ceremonies, it's pretty heart-jerking. The thing I think that really makes it work is that we mandate that the family be involved as well. So it's not just sending a teenager, a young kid over there, and then they go home and they get no reinforcement at all. We send them over, and their family attends. It is truly a family affair, and I think that's what sets us apart.
I think it has,
Yeah.
Judge.
Yes, sir.
And I just want to say that Claude's right. We attended the graduation, and I think that might have been the first one I've ever attended, but it was very moving, and to hear the testimonials that they shared with us and their journey, because it's a real journey for these young folks that have gotten off to a bad start in life and made some bad choices to head down a different path, and it was very encouraging.
Anything else? Okay, there be any comment from the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
G, Client Service Agreement with Cardno ATC for airspace estimates for Landfill Unit 5.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Mr. Smith.
Yes, this agreement is with Cardno Associates. They have been the people helping design our landfill since for at least the last 10 years. They will be working on this project for a conceptual design to expand our landfill, and as a part of that design they will also do airspace estimates based on that. There is a large customer that is looking at possibly using us that would require us to fill up this space exceedingly quick, and therefore we need to start right away designing it. And the money will not be wasted because at some point in the next 5 years we will need to expand regardless.
Okay. Any question or comment by the commission? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
H, county request and agreement for anti-litter control program grant funding.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Mr. Smith.
Yes, this is the formal grant agreement for the trash, what we use as the Trash for Cash program. And this just is for you to sign and get back to the state that we will agree to all of their rules.
Question or comment by the commission? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I, contract with American Engineers Incorporated for the Potts Road Bridge testing and inspection.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. County Engineer Brasher.
Yes, Judge. A couple of months ago, Fiscal Court approved the contract to rebuild Potts Road. They actually knocked that bridge down today. This is for the inspection, a limited amount of inspection that the engineering company will do to ensure that the bridge is put up correctly. I would recommend approval.
Question or comment by the commission? And the price on the contract, Mark?
I believe it's estimated at $6,000 for Kelly Cemetery Road. When we used them, we came in under.
Okay. And we have used these folks before?
We have.
Okay. Question or comment by the commission? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
J, bond release for Woodland Ridge, Unit Number 3, Streets and Surety Reduction, Unit Number 2.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion second. Mr. Brasher.
Yes, Judge. Woodland Ridge subdivision, that developer is requesting for Unit 2 just a partial release of surety for a 1-inch asphalt, and for Unit 3 they're asking for a complete release of bond for asphalt. We have inspected both of these and we recommend approval.
Question or comment by the commission? Question or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
K, courthouse parking lot renovation, purchase arm barrier gate system.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Commissioners, just by way of explaining this, this is a continuation of the repair that we did to the parking lot. As you know, the parking lot was closed down for, or at least portions of it, for probably 2.5 years. Once the developer of those properties, Mr. Condor's out here in the audience, once he finished his part of the lot, now we have to go in, seal it, and stripe it. We also have to try to get a handle on the traffic that is flowing through there. I suspect all these people, or a majority of these people, are here to talk about the traffic I see, or about parking, and I'm happy to find out that you did find parking or are able to attend the meeting tonight. I suspect that was supposed to be funny, folks. Come on. I would stipulate to each and every one of you that parking downtown is terrible. It is absolutely terrible. Now, I wasn't here prior to all the construction that started, so I don't have anything to gauge. I know I came down, found a parking spot on the street, and parked. But in the approximately 4 years that all the work downtown's been going on, it has been nothing but a mess. Now, it's been a mess for you. Streets have been torn up. People couldn't get to your businesses. Some of the bump outs that were put there to calm the traffic down and make it nice resulted in taking off or parking away. Some of the sidewalks that have been extended, where some of you have your cafe-style seating, it's been extended. It took out parking on the sides of the street. At the same time, that traffic, in order to avoid 2nd Street or construction on 3rd Street or wherever, continue to cut through the parking lot that is there for courthouse parking for the employees that work in this courthouse. Now, I'm down here almost every day for 8 hours. I know a lot of these commissioners can tell you how they've almost been hit by people cutting from St. Anne Street over to Allen Street. As a matter of fact, Friday, as I was there with the engineer and Mr. Smith, we watched a guy avoid a barrier and almost have a head-on collision with a lady that was coming in from the Allen Street side. We had parking signs that said restricted 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Didn't work. The signs I have now that says 24-hour restricted parking, which, by the way, is no different than the signs that the city has and a lot of the other lots have, doesn't work. Doesn't keep delivery trucks out. It doesn't keep people from coming in and parking. Mr. Condor can tell you that he's had to have people towed from the private residence lots. We used to have a fellow that worked here who I think reveled in towing people out of the parking lot. I don't want to tow people out of the parking lot. So the best solution that I have come up with would be to put gates up just as we have across the road at the Judicial Center, just as they have at River Park Center, just as they have at the Grits Garage, just as they have at a lot of other parking areas. Now, I've been told that that's not visitor friendly. Well, I'll tell you what I think is not visitor friendly is a lot of empty lots that are downtown that could be used for parking but have fences up around them. The simple fact is that my responsibility and the responsibility of the previous court, and by the way, the previous court had private parking from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and it was open to the public after hours. The previous court did not have to deal with the cut through that we've been having and when I say cut through, I'm talking about 20 miles an hour. You don't have to be an engineer to know when somebody's speeding through a parking lot. You don't have to be an engineer to know when it's unsafe. You don't have to be an engineer to know when people come in the city's lot and continue straight across, which is directly against the flow of traffic in our lot. I would tell you that I have to get a handle on the parking so that we can do the things that we need to do to get the lot back in shape. So the gates would go up and bollards will be put across, stopping the flow of traffic from St. Anne to Allen. There is no alleyway there that is not for public traffic, and that's what lots of people use it for. Does it make it inconvenient for people who have been coming through there? Yeah, it makes it inconvenient, but it makes it inconvenient for all of us who have to come out and go through 5 stoplights to get out to the east side. Our plan is to put the bollards up, to put the gates up. Once we have the gates up, which means now we can control the flow of traffic in and out, we can then go in and seal the parking lot, stripe the parking lot, get it back to where it's normal again. We can reassign or assign and group parking spots. We can then look at, we're also going to, by the way, Mr. Condor, I think you can attest to this, the entryway is a lot wider than the exit side. And we have some people that he provides private parking for, which, by the way, is 24-hour private parking, I think, when you can keep them out. But it will gain about 3 feet. It will actually make the aisles more balanced, so there's less chance for accidents. And once we do that, we'll open it back up for public parking like it was before, but not until we can get a handle on what's going on. Now, there's been a lot of stuff going on back and forth over the internet, talking about selfish, talking about public officials who think they're above everybody else. That's not true. Wasn't true of the previous court that had parking spaces out there. It's not true of this court. The truth is that I have to provide parking for the folks that work here at the courthouse, most of them. They work here 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and each and every one of you should know this. We have a monopoly on the services that you need to come to this courthouse to get. They have to be here. They have to be here. Most of the people, some people have called me, and we've had a conversation. Some of them weren't very good conversations. I had a conversation with Mr. Condor last Friday, and I even had a conversation prior to that, telling him about what we were going to do. He understood it. I don't know if he's going to speak to it, but I think he understands why we're going to do it, because he sees the same problems. I had a conversation with some folks over in the Masonic Lodge. They were concerned about how it affected their parking, and it's not going to affect them at all. I did have a conversation, or I had an email from We Are Downtown today, and I don't know if the chair or any members of We Are Downtown are here, but I appreciate the email. It was a very respectful email. It said that once we did the things that were necessary, would we consider opening it back up to public parking, and my response was, that's exactly what we are going to do. Now, you would think that everyone in here that had a dog in this fight, or thought they were going to lose a parking spot, I guess I would say, instead of a dog, would have called. Would have called. Didn't get any calls. I think I had 3. You would think, now I did get a lot of emails, and for you millennials and under 30 people, I'm sorry, I'm not very good at emails and texts and those kinds of things. But you would have thought that you would have come over and got the real scoop right from the horse's mouth. Maybe not. Maybe that's too hard. Maybe it's easier to hide behind the internet and bash people. And because of that, that's why I'm not going to determine when those gates are lifted. I'm going to ask Commissioner Wathen to make that decision. Once we have the gates up, once we have the bollards up, once we have sealed it, once we have striped it, then Mr. Wathen will make this judgment and open them up, because I don't want anyone to think that because of the way that this commission was bashed over this issue, it would influence our decision. It's not about emotion, folks. It's about doing the right thing and what we think is right. And I understand that each and every one of you out there have something different in what you think is right. But here's what I'm going to tell you, and this is the message, and then I'm opening it up to the commissioners to speak. But my message is to you. We Are Downtown is an organization that you folks are members of. And I don't know how many of you participate, but you need to start participating. The Downtown Parking Committee is an organization that each and every one of you should be extremely interested in. And their next meeting is August 20th at 1:30 p.m. at the police department. Joe Berry, I think, is the chair. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. He may have been pulled away because he's been given some other duties. Because let me tell you, the 25 or 30 parking spots across that street is nothing in the scheme of downtown. As you bring more and more people downtown, and you remove more and more parking, and more parking is going to be removed, because the minute that they build the Bluegrass Museum, you go from 100 parking spots to about 17, I think. And there is ample parking. The city, the county, and IDA, the Industrial Development Authority, helped build parking lots on the south side, or on the west side of Texas Gas Building when they came down. And those parking arms come up in the evening to make it available. And I think We Are Downtown. I think I was copied from the CVB about a meeting that We Are Downtown had, and they talked about perhaps getting a trolley to move back and forth, shuttle people around Owensboro. The fact that you don't have parking at your back door, I can't control. My responsibility is to the employees in this courthouse. Commissioners.
Judge, I don't really have anything to add. I would rather save any comments I have to after you hear from public input.
Okay. Commissioner.
I have a question and then some comment. Now, I'm going to decide at what time in the evening the gates go up? Is
We
that what
just,
you're saying?
you know, what, do we do it at 5 p.m. or do we do it at 6 p.m.? Is it 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.? Is it 5 p.m. to 5 a.m.? Yeah.
I can handle that.
Okay.
My comments now are, I won't be voting yes to this. I'm going to vote no. I would rather see us start off and try some different alternatives first. I know it's very frustrating for people who are not here all the time. They don't realize how frustrating it is. For example, if an employee comes and they try to park, they can't park, then they have to park on the street, and every 2 hours they have to move their car and things like that. So it is a problem for the employees. And and I think it basically boils down to 3 issues. One is the flow of traffic in and out. I'm not opposed to putting the Ballard up or the block or however you want to separate the 2 parking lots to keep people from going through. I'd rather see us put a sign on each parking space that says this space, a sign for each space instead of one big one that says this spot is reserved and from 8 to 5 or whatever the time becomes during business hours. And then it's implied, I guess, that it's not, or we could say that after those hours it's open to the public. Maybe even when we redo the lot, make sure we put arrows on the asphalt to give the directions. But I'd rather try that and I know we've tried different things, but I've never seen us have a specific sign on each parking place, and I'd like to see it say that and say that you'll be towed. And then we tow people. I don't want to tow anybody. That's pretty bad because it costs over $100 to get your car back. But that's the way I'd rather see it, and so based on that, I'm going to vote no.
Commissioner?
I've had about a total of 3 phone calls, excuse me, and mainly was the gates being open at night and on weekends, and it seemed like that was the biggest consensus of some of the residents over here in the condos. They were not objecting to that. They want to make sure they had enough room to get in and out of their garages, and if it looked like it's a safety issue with putting the gate up, the gate doesn't work, we can always take it down. But for the fact of having that freedom of leaving the gate up at night and on weekends, I think that's what the public was looking for, and based on that, that's why I second the motion.
Okay, if there's no other comment up here, I will open it up to the public for comment. I would remind you that let's talk about facts. Let's not get emotions in here. If anybody starts to call folks' names, if we get ugly, then I'm going to whack the gavel and we're going to end it. Let's not repeat ourselves. I mean, I don't need to hear somebody say, the same thing 3 and 4 times over. I absolutely want to hear your comments. Yes, sir. If you want to come to the podium, identify yourself and your address.
I'm Robert Higdon, 6525 Highway 54, Philpott. I'm like Mr. Watson. I don't agree with the gates. You're talking about control people speeding and parking. It would be a whole lot cheaper to put up cameras. You're going to get revenue off everything that somebody don't obey the law. It'd be a whole lot cheaper. And if you do put up gates, does the courthouse close at 4:30?
No, 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock?
5 o'clock.
I think the gates ought to be open at 5 till it opens the next morning.
Okay, thank you. Next person. If you didn't, Mr. Public.
Larry Conder. 2 things, I guess, brings people out. Number 1, passion or food. I don't see the buffet line, so I guess we got a lot of passion going on.
I think the buffet line was me.
Turn around, we'll see.
Yeah.
Just to bring everything up to a little bit of history and speed here. It was very curious that when I walked in tonight, and Commissioner Castlin, you saw the 2 elderly couples I was talking to. That was Mr. and Mrs. Crawford. They originally owned the Bates building. And they were the ones that actually had bought it from Mr. Vincent. And the building was torn down in the 1960s and said, be careful if you do dig into that parking lot, you're not going to like what you find in the basement of that park of what the Bates building was. So it was very curious to listen to a little bit of their history, but that's who that was. So let's go backwards a little bit as to what the judge alluded to. What we did as Riverwalk Properties, number one, the Smith Warner building, that construction. That went on for about 18 months. And again, an inconvenience to Fiscal Court and its parking lot. And we were very gracious and we expressed our gratitude to the employees of Daviess County Fiscal Court when we did that. Court Place, even more of an inconvenience. Going into St. Anne Street and the parking lot. Again, we expressed that gratitude, I hope. And we know that that was inconvenient. Right in behind that, 221, 223. So really you're looking at almost 6 years of inconvenience that we placed Fiscal Court and use of the parking lot in. And we, I hope, expressed a lot of gratitude to you guys to be able to do what we said we would do and try to do it in a timely and economic fashion.
We didn't kick you out, did we?
No. Your comment is you didn't kick me out.
Yes.
No, you didn't kick me out.
Right.
Other things may
Okay.
happen, but you didn't
All
kick me
right.
out.
We had
So-
some interesting conversations. Let's agree to that.
Well,
There
we've
you
had interesting conversation over the last 4 years.
go. Yeah.
So now let's go look at today and over the next 4 months. The judge has alluded to what's going to happen with parking in our downtown. The Bluegrass Music Center has 120 spaces. They will be gone, especially for 2 years.
Yeah.
All of them will be gone with that construction. The next piece is the 101 Frederica Street building. That building is either going to be renovated or torn down, where do you have to go? Either to the south, into that parking lot, or onto the street to renovate it. The next is the American Legion building that Jago owns, which Scott Jago is here. He's probably looking at it within the next 6 months, bringing it down. Construction equipment, parking lot that Terry Woodward owns just to the east, going to be taken away. It's going to happen. So what will everybody have to do? Move south. Or hopefully
West.
move west. Maybe a little bit east. So our public needs to understand that we're not a Walmart where you just drive in and you see the front of where you want to go. Drive just 2 blocks, 2.5 blocks, and go to where you want to be, especially even to this building. Because a lot of the people that come down St. Anne, which is a parking lot, I mean, you think it's a street, but it's really not, it's a parking lot. They're coming either in, a lot of them, into this building, well over probably 50% of them are. And the first thing they do is look at the first spaces they see, which is the parking lot. And go in there, and turn around, or do whatever that they're going to be doing to come in here as customers. So the public needs to understand when the gates go up during the day, the customers, even a fiscal court or the PVA, Sheriff's Department, whatever the case may be, you're going to have to find another place to be able to move 1 block away or 2 blocks away and walk over here to do our business. So please remember that, and maybe that's just a public awareness that we need to do. So now we go into I've talked to the city. The city with their parking lot is in their budget this year for them to also do the restriping and filling in and actually not making it a European style turn. It's going to be done correctly the way it's supposed to be done. And that is in the budget, but it probably won't happen until the spring or early summer of next year for them to do their work. So the entire area should look nice this time next year. It should look very nice. I also asked them about the Grits parking lot, not the parking garage, but the big parking lot that is just to the west of Grits. That's 2 blocks away. That is supposed to be either redone or put different rocks down so it can be open to the public for public parking because you're going to be taking so much away. Again, that's 2 blocks away. So I encourage the CVB, if they could put a sign up, this parking available, free, for you to be able to use to shop, eat, play, work, do whatever you want to do in that parking lot. Because it's half a block of parking spaces that can be utilized. So I have asked the city to do that, and hopefully the CVB will follow that up. Okay, usage of the parking lot itself. When the judge asked myself, am I for the gates? That was his generic question, and he asked it so Charlie Castlin, the Commissioner Castlin, could hear it. My answer was, yes, but. And the yes part being, when you live there and you put the gates up, our 14 residence spaces that we have basically have a gated community. So from that perspective, from a residence, hey, that's awesome. From a business perspective, especially in the evenings and on the weekends, which I think is where you're getting most of your comments from, that does affect a lot of things, whether it be Thursday night at Gambrinas for trivia night, or Bebops and what they may want to do for car shows, and the equipment that's brought in and out for that. You also will have the air show coming up real soon. It's big. So for those type of events, and especially in the evenings, highly suggest that if you do go ahead with the gates, that you program them for at least 5 o'clock in the evening, 7 in the morning, bring them down. Have David, when he gets here, I think it's David Harris, is that his
David Harris.
David Harris.
All right.
7 o'clock, he gets here, just walk around the parking lot. We have on the back of ours, Riverwalk Properties, little tags. You can see who our tenants are.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else, you have 1 hour to tow them. Move them out, if that's what it takes. And hopefully the public in time will understand you can park here in the evenings, but you better be gone by 7 o'clock. That's what's going to happen. So I do think that that would be good. Hopefully the sheriff department also knows, because I know that there has been some issues of, and I've seen them over the last 2 weeks, don't necessarily park in there as much as they were, their sheriff cars anyway, because of how they need to go out and go east, because they would have to go back and around and there may take more time. So that may need to be adjusted, and I'm sure that Keith Kane is aware of this, Sheriff Kane is.
And I've talked to him, Larry, and that's part of the restriping and repositioning who parks where in the lot to take into account their need to exit, and where you might have to have a clicker, garage door opener, or whatever to get into the lot. You will, I think, Mark, it'll be a tripwire. As you run over the tripwire, the gate automatically comes out, so nobody will be stranded.
So egress will be easy for them to be able to do, which is fantastic, but because I know that can be an issue for the sheriff's department at times, because I've seen that happening. One other last issue or comment to bring up, I have brought up, and I don't know if it's needed or really desired, but there is a space probably that we can designate it as a loading and unloading zone. The city would have to do that?
Yes.
15 minutes, I think, would be good if there was one needed, not only for some of the businesses here, but also Fiscal Court. FedEx and UPS comes in here almost daily.
See, I think I agree with you, but that's, again, the
cities.
WADI and the parking committee. Now, I know that you can stop in the middle of 2nd Street.
Do we really want that, though?
Well, I don't,
On
because
St.
when
Anne. I'm talking about
in
St.
St. Anne, and I've seen them do that, but you actually can create a loading and unloading zone like old downtown used to have. Yes. They had loading and unloading, but you can't do it on 2nd Street because you've taken away all the parking spots on the south side. It would have to be on St. Anne, it would have to be on Allen. Correct. In order to do that. But again, what do? You take away parking spots unless the vendors can talk to their suppliers and say you have to make your deliveries between 8 and 10 in the morning. After that, it's open for general parking. But again, that's what I'm saying. That needs to be worked out in conjunction with the city, because folks, I hope you understand that Daviess County Fiscal Court does not even control the spots that are on the street around Fiscal Court. We don't control those. That's a city function. Somebody said the county's downtown. It's not. We don't make rules and regulations about downtown, nor do we make them about the streets or even the sidewalks. That's where you need to involve the city. We are downtown, and the parking committee and the city revamped everything, and I don't know how many like it. I think doesn't make a lot of sense. Maybe it does. They revamped it. But even those parking spots out there are controlled by the city.
Correct. So the loading and unloading zone issue.
Yeah, that's an issue.
It helps, I think, with fiscal court and UPS, FedEx, some of those
Yes.
deliveries,
Yeah.
the other businesses, but that's not your issue. That is someone else that has been approached by that.
Well,
issue.
but it is our issue from this standpoint
Would
that they
help
would come in, they would come into the lot and block the entire lot, and the sheriff's department vehicles that park there would then be blocked in, so they get a call, they can't get out.
So I think
Yeah.
that would help also.
I think, and I agree with you, we need to take a long, hard look at parking downtown. We need to look at the big picture. We need to look at the overall view of parking and how do we resolve those issues, as opposed to a smaller picture is, what are you gonna do with 30 parking spots over here for the next, and Mark, month and a half is how it'll take us to get all that done.
We believe we can get the gates up.
And, you know, if we have a big function, Tim Ross can come over and say, Judge, do you want to throw some garbage bags over those signs? We'll be happy to do it.
Okay.
So.
Good. I hope you just keep those in mind, especially the large
Sure.
events.
Okay.
So where are you recommending, in between the two entrances for an unloading and loading zone? Is that what you're thinking?
Yes, sir. Right.
That's what I
Currently,
was-
where the judge is talking about moving over 3 feet,
Yeah.
for example, moving it further south, that entire line that lines up directly with a utility light, right there. In that area, that would be in between the two ingress and egress of the parking lot. I'm not for sure if it's enough space. If the city would allow
Here
it.
would be my comment, and we don't need to get into it here, but when you take a FedEx truck and park it there, and then you try to come out, you block the view, and you're exactly right. While St. Anne is a street, it's a parking lot, and cars go 30 and 40 miles an hour down St. Anne, so it makes it kind of dangerous to exit. It might not be a bad idea to see if you can't fit 2 vehicle parking there and then move forward on the other side where you're not looking for traffic to come. But that's an engineering, that's a function of
May not be
engineering.
wide enough.
So,
And it may
yeah.
not be wide enough,
Yeah.
and so the city
Yeah.
would have to address it.
Sure, okay.
Any other questions?
No, sir, thank you for your comments.
That I hopefully touched everything that everybody wanted to. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
My name is Alan Sims. I live at 3008 Sterling Court. And I appreciate Judge Mattingly giving me an opportunity to visit with him on this subject last week. I respect all that's going on, but I just disagree on this whole matter.
And you made that clear, Alan.
Well, I hope I did it respectfully.
Yeah, and you did. Thank you.
But I'm one who, and I don't know if I'm the only one or not, maybe I'm not, but I can deal with it if that's what happens. But I think it's a mistake to do what's being talked about here. I think the drive-through of the parking lots from St. Anne to Allen Street needs to be left open. I think the issues that are concerns with speeding and so forth and going the wrong way can be solved with speed bumps, appropriate signage, and enforcement. And that would save us taxpayers, which I assume everybody is one, including you folks up behind the cabinet there, over $10,000. It wouldn't cost that much to do those things, and I think that is at least worth the try before we spend $10,000, because that's a lot of money to most of us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Claude, just quickly on enforcement, I don't think the law enforcement officials have any jurisdiction on private lots. Is that correct?
No, there can be citations issued. The owner of the lot would normally call a private vendor to tow any person from that lot.
Okay, but I'm talking about somebody speeding through and going the wrong way. They would have to see it. And we can't afford, in the past, we had somebody that watched it pretty close, but our maintenance guy is pretty busy doing things around the courthouse that we hired him to do, so. But David, I appreciate Alan, I appreciate the comments. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Gentleman in the back had his hand up first. Come on.
I'm Ben Skiatis, 102 West 2nd Street. Thank you for the time and the opportunity to speak. A lot of things have been said that strike a chord with me. One of the main things that strikes a chord with me is the safety issue. And as a resident downtown and someone that grew up since I was 9, we've had a business on 2nd Street. I played in the back alley. Maybe wasn't the best place to play, but I did it. And as I've grown up in this community, I've seen a lot of changes. Most, in my opinion, have been for the best. And I would like to see us continue on that path. I'm proud of Owensboro and Davis County. Safety issues that I've seen, I think could easily be solved with a simple speed bump placed in between the 2 lots, still allowing flow of traffic. They're 2 very tight lots, and we've already spent a lot of time talking about what happens when someone blocks someone in. Well, let's leave ourselves a way out instead of painting ourselves into a corner here. I think that makes sense. It saves money. It gives us an out. And also, I think it will slow down the people that are speeding. Also, since I've been in the downtown on these 3 blocks here most of my life, I've also noticed patterns. Some of the patterns that I've noticed that concern me are, I feel most of the traffic that is speeding is on emergency respondents cutting through the lot. That's where I have found myself being scared of being run over. When it's late at night and I'm out walking my dog and a sheriff is on his way to a call, they may have a hard time seeing me, etc. So for me, this is a very important issue. Obviously, I live down here. We have 2 businesses. I'm affected, I would say, a lot more than a lot of the community members of the county. However, I do see where spending thousands of dollars to solve a problem that could have other answers that might be in a greater importance for more people of our county. The other issue that I really want to say is I think you're spot on when we need to take a grand view at things. But sometimes the big picture has several perspectives. And my perspective is I sit down at Lure in the hotel and I look out at that parking lot that has 120 spots. And most days it sits empty because in Owensboro we like to pull up right in front of where we're going,
Absolutely.
Get out and walk. That's caused my business some problems here and there. However, I don't think too much parking it's not like we have too many parking spots downtown right now. We all can agree at that. Taking away the 40, they're numbered spots over here, and the highest number is 42. So we keep saying 30 spots. I think it's 42. I've noticed since all the stink has happened over this parking lot, no one has been parking there every night. I'm very aware of it. It's my neighborhood. Before this time, every night there would be people utilizing that parking lot, and now they haven't been. For me, I don't think as a business owner it is a viable excuse to say, well, we don't need these spots because there are 120. And the faster we can get this done, if it is an arm barrier, that's fine. For my business's sake, for the citizens of our county who want to come down and enjoy themselves, and I'm glad that more and more are doing it all the time. I think it would be beneficial to them and to our businesses, my fellow business owners, to see an open mind about this, not just for the county's opinion of taking care of the employees of the county. Some of the employees of the county have been a problem for me personally and other people in this county from endangering us by speeding out of the lot. Some self-government could be good in this situation.
Yeah, I would be careful where I go about first responders and how they respond to those calls, because they I mean, they have a job
Absolutely
to
they
do.
do.
So,
And I respect that very much.
Okay.
I'm not
Okay.
putting down first responders.
Just wanted to make sure.
Absolutely, sir.
All right. Anything else?
All I have. Thank
All
you for
right.
your time.
Thank you very much. This gentleman had his hand up first.
My name is John Condrey. I live at 201 St. Anne Street, which is the new building Court Place. I have a business at 116A and 118A West 2nd Streets, Gambrinus Libation Emporium. I am appreciative of you guys having us speak. I mean, it's part of our government. We all have, it's nice to have the opportunity to get up and say our piece. I'm one of those people that you discuss as being a millennial. I don't have, as you see over here, I have a 5-year-old. I work 14, 15 hours a week, or a day, excuse me, not a week, a day. And I watch him the rest of the time. For me to take time out away from him to come call you or to come to your office and sit, not possible. So I'm not allowed that ability. So I'm one of the people that sent all the commissioners, yourself, an email. I have a lot invested in the situation that's going on. You know that, commissioners. You know where I am in this situation. My house overlooks a lot. Every morning I wake up, I can look out and see exactly who's parked there, whether they belong there. I know whose cars are who. Every night I walk out 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I know who's out there, who's not. You know, many nights I walk out with money in my pocket. My staff walks out with money in their pockets. You talk about the safety of your staff. Your staff, if your staff is the same as my staff, they're my family. They're the people that no matter what I do, I take care of them first. We've been lucky enough, and you and the county and the city of both have been gracious enough to allow us to have our staffs park in the lots behind our businesses. That goes with Bebop's as well. That goes with Bella Ragazza. That goes with Colby's. That goes with Feta. All of us use that lot. It's a safety barrier. You guys have a camera that overlooks the lot 24 hours a day. I know at the night at 2 o'clock in the morning, if one of my staff walks out with whatever amount of money they made that night, that if something happens when they walk out, we'll be able to see it. I installed a camera behind it as well. I have a camera that views the lot from an opposite angle. I can see what's going on as well. I can't get to the point. I have a philosophical difference with my father-in-law is Larry Condor, in case no one knows that. My wife is his daughter, his stepdaughter. I'm not a believer in gates. I don't believe that gates are inviting. They don't allow people, when people drive by and they see a gate down in a semi-empty lot, what does that say to them? Does it say, hey, you know, are these people better than me? Can they have a parking space? I understand that it is for the safety and the use of your employees. No issue with that. I agree with Commissioner Wathen. I believe that it's a situation of using taxpayers' money that isn't necessary when there hasn't been other attempts first. We haven't put the balusters, whatever they're called, in between the two lots. I don't have an issue with separating the two lots. Not a problem. If it stops people from going through there, so be it. That's great. What also slows them down? Speed bumps. Appropriate signage. A little bit of paint on spots that you feel need to be blocked off 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No parking anytime. People look down in a lot before they look up when they park into a parking spot. My staff, the first day that the new tollway signs went up, before I could get a hold of all of them, one of them parked right dead underneath the tollway zone sign by the dumpsters. He walked in the back door. I said, "Hey, where'd you park?" And he said, "Where I always park." I said, "Come on, let's go back outside." He looked at me and said, "Man, I didn't look up there." We're used to, you know, it's a good, bad thing. You guys have been wonderful to allow us our parking. And I've tried in everything I've said, whether it be the newspaper or on TV, to not make it about my business and me, but it is a lot about my business and me as a resident. And I did actually prepare some things. I had a whole nother thing, and I changed my mind on what I wanted to say, and I wanted to get out who I am and what I'm doing here first before I kind of went into what what I wanted to say. And it's hard. It is an emotional situation for me. I'm a family man. I gave up, my wife and I, we gave up our jobs in Memphis. We had nice jobs. We made a lot of money. We're very happy together. We wanted to come home. This is our home. This is where she grew up. This is where I moved here in 1993 to attend Brescia. I've lived here more than half my life. I'm 40 years old now. I've been here for almost 30 of it. And this is where I'm planning on staying. We have purchased a condo. We're one of those people that have one of those spots that's back there that is reserved 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I think I've pretty much paid for that spot with my investment in my business and my home. You know, it'd just be like at your house. You put a garage on your house, that's your parking spot. You know, that's kind of how I thought about that. But the last thing that I want somebody to see when they come by at any hour of the day is a gate and me behind that gate, and somebody say, "That guy right there, he's better than me because he can park back there." And that's why I'm wholeheartedly against putting gates up, because I'm not, and as I said in the email to all you guys, I'm better than no other person in this room, in this county, in this state. I am, I work as hard as they do. I do everything I can to be giving to people that have less than me.
Okay, let's if you don't mind, let's kind of wrap it up. Just some statements to you. First of all, every city that you go to has gates up, blocking parking, keeping people out. If you come down Allen Street, you pass the Judicial Building. Those gates are down 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's an empty parking lot. That's because of the judicial system, and that's paid for by taxpayer dollars. I hope that made myself clear. We're going to raise the gates from 5 whatever Commissioner Wathen makes that decision. If you go down the street, you will see lots with gates. They are down during the day. They are raised in the evening. There is nothing uninviting about a gate, I don't think. It's a way that you keep. Perhaps we didn't stop signs, those signs where people should be looking. But again, once we get all the things done, I don't think it's now to bring. We can open the gates back up, and I think as opposed to close. And you different. I don't have a problem with that. As an employer, and I understand what you said about safety. Go that down I don't think that's what we want. That's not the opinion. That's not the express.
May I ask when gates go, what about the
Alone right now.
So
Mm-hmm.
all right, just making sure.
Sure.
So
I had a
over $10,000 for gates, and the lot is still accessible to anybody 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay, that's all.
Okay. Let's try.
Who are Gaddis? I have Famous Bistro, and I've been involved with downtown. We are downtown, and I've been to parking meetings for over 20 years. And I don't think there's a city on the planet that doesn't have. What we can do as a community, family, about the possibilities. And here's why. At 4 o'clock, either have and gone home, and there's a in that lot at 4 o'clock. That closes people to park close by and go to the clothing stores, the antique shops. So it gives them a little more time. The 5 and window for a lot of people coming out of their work, come down and shop. So I suggest maybe we can look at a 4 o'clock possibility. In that lot, for customers are getting older. I've been here for a long time. Walking thing. Be beneficial, I think, for the community if we had a little bit more disabled parking signage in that parking lot. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Yes, sir. And George, I assume you'll talk. That's